Hi guys. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jordan, and I am so glad you've decided to share your Valentine's Day with me. So before I get into the subject matter of this video, I just wanted to let you guys know that the backing tracks for Volume 2 are now up on my website as well. So for those of you that don't know, I make all of the backing tracks for my videos that I write available on my website. The link for that is down below if you are interested in picking any of those up. As of this video, there are 6 tracks there for you guys to download. They're in 2 volumes. They're separated by 3 songs each. So as time goes on, there will be more added, and you guys will have access to that. So I'll keep you posted. All right, so I am smack in the middle of a deluge of double posting. So if you want to check out this week's other video, it's right here. And as a side note, in case you're wondering, it is totally accidental that my angriest song from Slowdown ended up being on Valentine's Day. But, you know, maybe it connects with some of you that are going through a hard time. So there's that. Alright, so on to the content of this video. So if you guys remember, I did a video where I didn't play anything and I just kind of talked for a little while about some tips and tricks that I had for some beginning musicians to kind of stay encouraged. One of those things was to look for root notes when you're listening to a song that you can't find a chart or chords for. And if you wanted to check out the rest of that video, I'll have a link for that also up here. So as I mentioned in that video, I wanted to spend a little bit of time on root notes because it's a great way as a beginner for you to level up your skills and you become a little bit more self-reliant and less dependent on other people finding the chords or figuring them out so that you can play the songs that you want to. Alright, so full disclosure, this is a very basic lesson and it's not going to be super in-depth, but it does give you an idea of what to play when you're trying to figure out a song the first time. So here's the dilemma. You hear a song, you really like it, you want to learn it, nobody's made a chart, nobody's put the chords out on Ultimate Guitar, you're stuck. Well, if you're feeling just a little bit industrious, there is a way, and that is the root note. What is a root note? Well, usually it is the lowest or bass note of a chord. Not always, there are lots and lots of exceptions, but in modern popular music, I'd say maybe like 85 to 90% of the time, that is the root of the chord. And of course, a chord is a collection of notes being played together. So when you consider the root of the chord, that's what the chord is named for. So when you see a C chord, the lowest note that you play actually happens to be the note C. That is the root of the chord because it's what it's named for. It's made up of C, E, and G stacked up on each other a lot. So when you're listening to a song, you can actually figure out what chords are being played just by listening to that bass note. So just to give you a better example, if we go back to the video that I posted last week, which is up here if you want to watch the whole thing, I covered the song Cautious by Emarosa, and there was no chart for it because the song was too new and nobody had done it yet. So I just listened to the bass and listened to what was going on and kind of picked it out on my own. It just so happens that that song is like super basic and there's only like 2 progressions in the whole thing, but you can apply this to pretty much anything. That song happens to start on the note E flat, which is lower than a standard tuned guitar can go. And it actually goes down in the bass to the note D. So what I did is I took one of my guitars and tuned it to D standard instead of E standard to get all of those notes and make it sound rich and full on the low end. So essentially in that song, the verse and the chorus have the same pattern to them. They start on E flat, go up to an F, go up to a G, and then lead in with the note D. Now this is one of those exceptions that I was talking about. The bass is playing the note D, but the chord that they're actually playing there is B flat. So what this is called an inversion. This is a first inversion where the second note that occurs in a B flat chord, or D, is in the bass. So in the case of this guitar, because it's in D standard, everything that I'm playing is a whole step down. So when I play a C chord, or a C shape, like I did on that other guitar, I get a B flat, which is a whole step down from C. That's the chord I just mentioned, right? And you need a D in the bass, which is the lowest note that you can play in D standard. So you just play a B flat chord, or a C shape, with the low 6th string in open. And that becomes a B flat over D. So if you've seen that in a chart or on somebody's chord sheet, that's what that means. So altogether, it's And that's basically it. So when you listen to the song, you can pick out So one thing to say about this too is it's totally a skill, and it's something that you have to kind of practice over time. At first you may or may not get it, or you might get it right away. What it takes is just training your ear to listen to that lowest note, and that gives you the context of the song. Eventually over time, once you start to notice what those patterns are, you can pick out what key the song is in, and even after just hearing a couple chords, you can even make educated guesses on what chord might come next, or what other notes might actually end up being in the song. So once you figure out how to navigate what the key of the song is, so for example, that song Cautious happens to be in B flat major or G minor, whichever way you want to look at it. So if you know your scales, you'll know whether to use a major or a minor chord once you've figured out what the bass notes are. So again, we mentioned that the first note is E flat, the next one is F, and the next one is G. But in the key of B flat major, which is what we said this one was in, the G is the 6th chord in the scale, which makes it a minor chord. So E flat happens to be the 4th degree of the scale, which is also a major. F is the 5th degree, which is also major. We go up to the 6th degree, which is minor. And then we go back to the 1 chord with the 2nd note of that chord in the bass, which was B flat over D. And that happens to be a major chord because B flat is the key that we're in. Nice and simple. Alright, so there's a basic example of how root notes work and how they interact. The idea here is to just listen to a song and practice listening for that lowest note in the chord. And if you're someone that doesn't have perfect pitch and can't necessarily sing, it helps to have that instrument with you when you're listening to a song. So that way when you're listening to it, you can strum along and figure out what it is. And if you don't necessarily know where the notes are on your instrument, then you can just kind of hunt and peck until you find it. And eventually, that'll also teach you where notes are, which is cool. So the more that you practice it, the more that you do it, the better you'll get at it, just like any other skill and any other thing in music. The other thing that I mentioned in that last video was that music is patterns, and you're going to start to notice a lot of patterns when you're picking out root notes. You're going to notice that, say, the verse and the chorus and the bridge all kind of fall within a certain category. They only use a certain set of chords, and that's a pattern that you can put in your toolbox for later. So for example, that one song by Axis of Awesome where they play like a billion songs with just 4 chords, that's a pattern that you can start to recognize in popular music. And the cool thing is, it's not really just one pattern that repeats in Western music. That's just one of the many. Over time, you'll get good at it, and eventually, there are some songs that you'll just be able to play instantly. So if you guys have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment down below in the video, or you can shoot me an email on my website. There's a link down below for that as well. Alright, I just wanted to say another thank you for being here, and thank you for being who you are. Thank you for letting me be who I am, and I just wanted to wish you a happy Valentine's Day with your loved ones, or if you want to just hang out with yourself, that's cool too, if that is more your speed. Either way, I love you. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you again in the next video.